Good morning, YouTube. Today we are going to be reviewing the Harley Davidson 883 Iron. Now before we get started, I do want to point out that this one is not exactly stock, but I will make mention to everything that I need to as far as what was done to the bike and why. Alright, so for those of you who are not regulars to this channel, I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of background, just because I believe it is important when watching bike reviews to know who's reviewing them and what exactly do they know about bikes. I've been riding a good portion of my life. I'm 24 years old now. I've ridden everything from dirt bikes to sport bikes and now cruisers, so I have quite a bit of experience on two wheels. I also want to point out that I've had this bike for about 2,000 miles. I do not believe that people can get on a bike, ride it around for 30 minutes and tell you everything that sucks and does not suck about a bike. So like I said, this bike is not stock. There are quite a few things that are changed out. I'll just start from the front and go back. I have a LED Amazon Daymaker knockoff. I have a link to that down in the description. LED marker lights and turn signals up front. This plastic fairing up front. Handlebars, aftermarket pipes. These are the Vance & Hines short shots. They are wrapped with the black pipe wrap as well. The seat is a LaPera Maverick, I believe. And I also have the chrome highway pegs down there. Right there, those are also aftermarket. So I'll go ahead and start off kind of telling you what I believe the bike needs. There's really only maybe one or two things depending on the person and their preferences of what this bike needs. Now there's a fun little fact that goes around the Harley community of paying the Harley tax, and basically what that means is, depending on who you ask, is exhaust and a new seat. That's the two things that Harley is known for of kind of lacking off the showroom floor. Is the exhaust, due to, emissions and stuff like that, is extremely quiet, and the seat, depending on the model of the bike, is definitely subpar. Now granted, the exhaust can get pretty pricey, especially depending on what model you go with. I would definitely recommend these Vance & Hines short shots. They, in my opinion, are the best looking and are definitely one of the best sounding, no matter who you ask. The other ones I really like the sound of are the Vance & Hines, I believe they're called Big Radius. I'll go ahead and throw a sound clip of the stock exhaust next to the aftermarket exhaust that you could potentially have. The seat for me was a big issue pretty much from the start. It comes stock with a solo seat. This is how it used to look. And that's how it comes stock from the factory. It's a solo seat, so you can't ride two up with anybody. It's decent. Now, if you're a smaller guy, it'd probably be okay. I, on the other hand, I'm about 6'2", 250 pounds. I'm a big dude, which I'm going to address later. But the seat is decent. I mean, if you're just going to be doing city rides, that's probably not something that you'll have to buy, especially right off the bat. Me, on the other hand, being a bigger dude and liking to take longer rides, I like taking rides outside the city, about hour, 2 hours long, things like that, and that stock seat was not cutting it whatsoever. So those are basically the only two things that bike needs. Some things that I've seen addressed in other videos about this bike kind of make me think if they even did a little bit of research before they bought these bikes. So the Sportster model is kind of known for it being, bareback, somewhat of that old school look. There's even a small rivalry between Harley riders, between Sportsters, Dynas, and what they call baggers, which is going to be your Ultra Glide, Street Glide, the big old bikes. I think that's completely retarded, but doesn't change the fact that it still exists. But with that being said, Sportsters are known for certain things. They're known of having certain qualities. One of the things that I saw some people complaining about in other videos is, oh, there's nothing to protect you from the wind just hits you right in the body. Duh, what do you... Do you not know the basics of physics? I mean, look at this. This is aftermarket, and even this doesn't do a damn thing. If anything, it directs the wind from hitting your entire body to just focusing on your chest, which I don't think is a better thing. Then they were also complaining about how rough the ride is. Once again, it's a Sportster. What did you expect? These are not known for being comfortable bikes. If you want a comfortable bike, look at the wide glides, street glides, ultra glides, hence the name Glide. Now, with that being said, this bike isn't too uncomfortable. It's not to the point where, you know, every single bump is going to break your back. I definitely do not have the best of backs, and even with that being said, my back almost never hurts after riding this bike. Another thing that people say about these bikes is they're slow. Well, yeah, they kind of are. 883cc motor. It's a 45-degree V-twin. I believe it's around 50. I think it's like 53 horsepower. I believe it's not a speed bike. It's not built for speed. If you're wanting something fast like that in a cruiser package, look at something like the V-Rod, perhaps. But it's also not too slow. It definitely has enough power to do the longer rides, to do the putting around the city. It gets the job done. I've never been a point where I'm thinking to myself, this bike doesn't have enough power. And that's coming from a person who loves power. Now, this isn't going to have the power that you're looking for to, you know, pull up power wheelies and stuff like that. It's extremely hard to wheel this bike. Like I said, it just flat out gets the job done. Now, I also saw in other videos people complaining that this bike can't handle highway speeds. Now, I don't know if that's due to it being stock. I did buy this bike with the aftermarket exhaust, which does add some horsepower to it. But people in the videos were complaining that around 65, 70, they feel like their bike is topped out. I have a very hard time believing that, even with a stock bike. I really do. This bike, with all the exhaust and everything, it can do 70, 75, 80 all day long, no problem. I even made a joke the other time I was on a group ride. They had me leading and I kept pulling away from the group. I had to tell my buddy who has a 600 Shadow to get in front of me because this bike just wants to go. Like, when it gets on the highway, it just wants to go. So if that's one of your concerns, I say you put that concern out the window. This bike can handle the highways just fine. Speaking of highways, it's gonna bring me to my highway pegs. These can be picked up on a used, they can be picked up used anywhere between about $50 and $100. Brand new, I believe they're in like the $150 range. Definitely worth the investment, especially if you're going to be doing any sort of highway riding whatsoever, and you're over, I'd say, 5'7". Highway pegs are highly recommended. And if you absolutely hate the mid controls, which this bike comes stock with, you can always put forward controls, which essentially moves your brake and gear shift up to that point. I personally went with the highway pegs just because when I'm around the city, I like having the more aggressive controlled stance. It really lets you grab onto the bike with your knees and kind of, you know, get the dipping and diving a lot better, which, once again, it being a Sportster, it dips and dives very well. It's only about 560 pounds, I believe, which is a little bit heavier than most cruisers of this size, but not heavy to the point where it feels like a street glide. Those bikes are heavy as shit. Also, with this being a smaller bike, it is better for shorter riders. Like I said, I'm 6'2", and you can see how bent my leg is putting it down. I had a buddy of mine ride this the other day. I believe he's 5'7", maybe 5'8", and he was able to flat foot this thing perfectly. So if height is an issue, this is definitely another bike to look at for you as well. Alright, so going ahead and moving up front here. Your typical Harley dash, I guess you could say. Now, these handlebars are aftermarket. I believe I mentioned that. If not, yeah, they're aftermarket. These don't come stock. These are the Biltwell Keystone Z-bars. Now, the handlebars definitely did not need to be changed. The handlebars that comes with stock are actually very comfortable. This was more of just a personal choice to give me a little bit more forward lean on the bike, and I think they just look a lot better personally. Moving on from the handlebars, these mirrors. These mirrors come stock up here. Everyone that owns an Iron will tell you that these mirrors are garbage, and almost every single person will switch them to underneath the bars like I have mine now. Not only, in my personal opinion, does it look a lot cooler, you can see so much better with them underneath. With them sitting right where they are, I literally almost have an entire 180-degree view field behind me, which is amazing. I don't know if you can see this little silver bolt right here. All you have to do is take that off, flip them underneath. You kind of have to move the mirrors out a little way, or not the mirrors, the signal lights, and then boom, just tighten it back up and you're good to go. Moving on here to the actual dash portion. It's a single dial. All it has is your speed on it. Now, it has a digital reading right here. On this, you have a clock, a gear indicator with a tachometer. You have your actual odometer, and then you have 2 trip odometers. One thing I kind of had to get used to on this bike coming from non-Harleys is they have turn signals on both sides. Now if you're familiar with motorcycles, most of them only have it on one side. You can push it left, push it right. Harleys are a little bit different. They've got buttons on both sides for right and left. They do auto cancel. They have a lean sensor in it, so if it detects that you actually made a turn, they will auto cancel. If not, they'll stay on for about 2 minutes or so. But you just press it once to turn it on, press it again to turn it off. One complaint I do have about this bike is that digital tachometer is garbage. It's very laggy, and it's so small, like you'd have to be looking down if you, I mean, there's really no reason why you ever need a tachometer, but it's garbage nonetheless. One thing I wish they would have replaced with that is a fuel gauge. This bike does not come stock with a fuel gauge. It does give you a low fuel light. That comes on when you're about at a third of a tank, so you still get plenty of time prior to running out of gas, but I still like having that fuel gauge. Essentially what I do now is with the 2-trip odometers, I like to reset mine every time I fill up, and then I just know that I get about 120 miles to the tank depending on how I'm riding. So if I get to about 100 miles, usually my gas light's already on, but I know it's time to fill up. Like I mentioned, about 120 to 150 miles on this tank depending on how you're riding, highway, city, if you're on the gas, if you're not. It comes with a 3.1 gallon tank. Definitely big enough, in my opinion, to get you where you're going. So one question that people always get asked is, who is this bike for? Now, the Sportster line in general is going to be for, I guess, a specific group, I guess. It's definitely aimed more towards the urban motorcycle markets, people who do a lot of city riding as opposed to open highway country riding. It wouldn't be too bad to use this as a daily commuter if you live in an area where the weather is nice enough for that. I do also believe that this bike would be great for someone who likes working on bikes, and also someone who is, I guess, generally newer to bikes. The reason I'm saying that is these bikes are pretty easy to work on, especially when you're looking at accessories and things like that, just because the accessory market on this is so wide, because you've got so many models that are in the Sportster family that will be able to use, that you'll be able to use on the 883 Iron. So you've got like the 48, the 72, the Iron 883, a lot of the Nightster parts, the Nightster 1200 parts will fit on this. So the market is very wide as far as accessories goes. Also, the reason why I would aim it more towards a newer rider is the price points. These are one of the cheapest Harleys. I do believe the new Street 750 is cheaper than this, but even with that being said, even if it's not, they're at least pretty close, and they're all under 10 grand. And that's brand new right off the showroom floor. I picked mine up used. It had just under 3,000 miles on it. I picked mine up used. I think my final price before taxes and everything was like $6,500 around there. So they're very affordable bikes, as well as the insurance on them isn't bad either. It's definitely one thing that people forget to look into when they're buying motorcycles is the insurance. It can very hugely impact your decision. All in all, I am very happy with my decision to purchase this bike, and I will be the first person to tell you if this bike sucks. And honestly, I don't think this bike sucks. Can it have some improvements for me personally? Absolutely. But no bike is going to be perfect. I also get the question a lot of, would this bike be a good beginner bike? Now, that's going to depend on what you qualify as a beginner. Now, if you're someone who has never ridden a motorcycle whatsoever, and literally just passed the motorcycle safety course, I would look elsewhere for a couple reasons. One being, even though it's a cheaper bike, there are cheaper bikes on the market that would be a better option. This would definitely be a good second step up for the people that are brand new. But if you're someone who has ridden a dirt bike on the regular, or any sort of other motorcycle experience off the road, and this might be your first street bike, I would absolutely definitely recommend this. It doesn't have too much power to where it's going to get out of out of control. It's light enough to where it is a lot more manageable, especially like moving around in the garage and stuff like that. And you're not going to be dropping it nearly as easy as other bigger bikes. So in general, if this is your absolutely first bike, I would look maybe cheaper, probably a Honda Shadow 600, just because, I mean, everyone knows your first bike, the chances of you dropping it are very high, and it's a lot easier to drop a $2,000 bike than it is to drop a $7,000, $8,000 bike. Well guys, that's it for this review. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I will answer them as soon as possible. I read every single one of my comments. Other than that guys, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. It does help the channel quite a bit when you hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and punch that subscribe button. And as always guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.